We'll ask the clerk to perform the second reading of item number 8.
An ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Second Amended and Restated Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Agreement by and between the City of Raytown, Missouri and Raytown 350 INV Group, LLC, and authorizing the City Administrator to execute the agreement.
Mr. Cole.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, Board of Aldermen, thank you for the time this evening. Again, the action requested this evening is for the second reading and approval of the First Amendment to the Second Amended and Restated Tax Increment Financing and Redevelopment Agreement, also recognized or publicly known as the Raytown Live Tax Increment Financing District. And basically, we went through this with some degree of thoroughness at the first reading on November the 16th. But again, the main premise of this amendment is simply to amend the existing development agreement to allow for the construction of an International House of Pancakes restaurant at the former Dodge dealership site at 350 Highway and Raytown Road. At the November 16th Board of Aldermen meeting for the first reading, the mayor and several members of the Board of Aldermen expressed their disappointment with the developers' efforts to remove the blight on the entire project area. Since then, city staff has worked with Block & Company and International House of Pancakes in enhancing the proposed amendment to include the demolition of the vacant car wash. That is the only addition to the amendment that you have before you this evening that was not on the amendment the last time. Demolishing the vacant car wash essentially removes 2/3 of the blighted buildings on that site. One being the existing Dodge dealership. The one that they've recently agreed to in the document you have before you is the vacant car wash. The remaining structure would be the Amoco station at the corner of 350 Highway and Raytown Road. You can ask, the developer can go into detail this evening, as they do have representatives here, as to why that building could remain or what their opportunities to do with the existing Amoco building are. Additionally, Block & Company has agreed to complete and has already initiated some improvements to the former Amoco building, which will fully bring the building within compliance with the city's property maintenance code. Items to be addressed will include the removal of a damaged light pole. That pole has actually already been removed as of about 10 days ago. All exposed wires will be cut and tucked. Exposed electrical coverings will be repaired and put in place. All boarded windows will be replaced and damaged guttering will be cleaned and repaired. Block & Company's property manager has also been given direction from Block & Company's principals to make sure that the site is maintained and properly cleaned at all times. Additionally, IHOP has been made aware of this agreement, and they will also, I don't want to say that IHOP will also police the Amoco site for its cleanliness and adherence to our codes. But they will also keep a tight eye on the building, as that is the front door to their building as well. So how that site appears also reflects IHOP's business, simply as a matter of fact or of circumstance. The developer has committed to both IHOP and the city to assure the Amoco site is clean and well kept. Additionally, the Community Development Department has committed to keep a closer eye on that site. Over the past few months, this has been an active development project. We've kind of gone under the assumption that those blight items would be remediated throughout this process, so they have not received violations or warnings or summonses of that nature. That time has passed to where, if not adhering to the agreement before us, they will be cited on a rather routine basis. With that, there are many representatives here from the development team, including the developer's legal counsel, IHOP's franchisee, and a real estate representative, their architect, and their engineers. So with that, we will entertain any questions, and their development team will certainly entertain questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Any questions? Alderman Ertz.
I guess my question is, and I was emailed a couple pictures of a rehab job that the Block Company did. It looked very nice on a couple of other gas stations that were in disrepair. So it's going to be my assumption then that we're holding out hope for the existing. The reason why we're not tearing down the building is we feel that it could be rehabbed and used has a use as it is. Over here tonight.
Good evening, Charles Renner with Blackwell, behalf of the developers. first, just to respond to your question, sir, and thanks for having us here as well. The Amico site, and you did see a couple of pictures of some actual rehabs of a similar facility. That is an option, and it is a possibility. We've had discussions with staff on that. Specifically, obviously, staff developer wants a very quality project on the site. City staff has expressed that as well over the many months that we've been working on this project. And we obviously are well aware of the board's position. So we would not anticipate making any requests like that until and if we have a viable user and a very detailed plan to provide you for that particular facility. But there is that possibility, and that was some of the discussions we've had with staff earlier, and when we wanted to provide them with some renderings, and with renderings, basically some photographs of some actual redevelopment.
So they can be aware of that there is some validity to that as an option. Till we have an actual user and then have the ability to work through with staff and with you as well, we wouldn't profess to say that that is what is going to occur, but that appears to be a very viable option we will entertain as well. While I'm up here, I do want to thank you again for giving us your time, and we won't work through a lot of the details that were discussed in great length at the last meeting. I do want to say one more time that we're very appreciative of staff. We've been working with them on this particular objective, which is to get this IHOP in position to open in front of you this evening, really. We've got this agreement as well as a plat that we're going to ask you to finally sign off on. But throughout all that, our job is really of a partnership. The developer and the city have a partnership on some common goals for the development of the site. So we've been very comfortable with open communications with city staff throughout. Tom had referenced further monitoring of the cleanup and things to that extent. I think we will not be silent for any long period of time where it will be hard to find. And I did also want to say that while we've worked with staff, my approach has always been that one of the important things on a partnership is to listen to what everyone is saying, and then to work hard to be responsive to what those priorities are. And this year we've worked on issues, stormwater drainage and access and things to that extent. Clearly at the last meeting we heard concerns about the presence of the buildings and things of that extent. And so I think not only did we have a comfortable agreement that was going to get the IHOP accomplished and move the development forward at the last time, what you have in front of you is additional reference of us listening and trying to be responsive as well to the concerns of the board. So we're very appreciative of your time and look forward to getting this facility open and available for any other questions.
I do appreciate you working with city staff, and I appreciate this is a better deal than you had last week. Like you said, 2 out of 3 of the buildings, as Mr. Cole alluded to, coming down, I believe it will help. Obviously, after you, we are the next most excited person about seeing redevelopment in Raytown. Actually, we may even be more. We have constant need. We have many needs in this town. It's a beautiful community that just wants to shop in its own community to support its own businesses. I appreciate and I did look at those pictures of your rehabbed gas stations. I thought they'd be in the packet, but they weren't. I would have brought them along. But they did look very quality when they're done. One was turned into a Radio Shack, and which was you couldn't even tell what it was before. I imagine, structurally, you guys are the experts to go in and find out what can and cannot be done, or somebody under you, would do that. So again, though, when you come back for anything else, I don't know if we can. Timelines are hard to say, but we would sure appreciate knowing that this is put to the front burner, so to speak, as something that we can get developed out. If there's any type of a timeline you'd like to make, I appreciate that too, but we'll take what we can get.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Mr. Mock?
Well, I didn't get to see the similar facility, so it wasn't in my packet. But with the Amico station, there is, the canopies there. Okay, that similar facility, was there canopies, were they left at that similar facility you're just talking about?
No, in both cases they were not, and let me just kind of cut to the chase, because I think We're talking about a couple different things here. I think we've got, I kind of break this down into three pieces. One, we have and I think they're all shared goals. We've got a shared priority to accomplish getting the IHOP open and on site. And that's clearly the lion's share of what the documentation and everything is dealing with this evening. Two, the existing TIF plan actually requires that it calls for some detailed amendments and specificity on this project too, which now, as we know, in time, is appropriately called Project Area 2. It appears to be the second, based on market demand, the second one that's going to develop rather than Project 3. So we do know that in the first quarter of next year, we're going to be coming with staff and working through on a TIF amendment to deal with that specifically. And then finally, there's a larger priority that the board clearly has, and that is to see all of the buildings removed, rehabilitated, upgraded, everything basically is sitting at first class and seeing some action on there. We're treating that TIF amendment in the first quarter of 2011 as, in part, that expedited timeline. But we're not anticipating to be able to come in front of you with the same amount of unanswered questions on the gas station site and things to that extent. So we do have a timeline. Market conditions are one, but the reality of that amendment needs to occur. We need to get in front of you in the next several months, not much longer than that. One of the things we referenced last time on both demolitions is a cost issue, and that is still present. Frankly, the goal of getting IHOP accomplished and continuing to work well with the city and everything was one of the things that really highlighted the need to go ahead and take these steps. In demolition of the canopy, when you start to take down that and other aspects of the gas station, my discussions with the construction team, you can tend to get to a point where you're going to actually put the building more in a position where it's more likely to be torn down entirely. Now, that may ultimately be what's going to happen, and I would expect that we'll figure that out in a relatively short order. But at this point, and my comments on the canopy and things to that extent is that we're going to have some more detailed, responsive answers to you by the time we come up with a TIF amendment or another tenant, all of which would happen in the first quarter of next year. And so it is not addressed in this document. I'm not at all beginning to say that it is. But when that canopy in specifics, not the first time we've talked about it, I would anticipate that'll be something that's addressed by the time we show up to you again.
Ms. Melson.
So my understanding right now is that you're going to tear down the car wash.
That's correct. That's correct.
And what time frame is that? Is that to be immediate upon the demolition of the dealership?
I will just generally, based on the agreement, the city cannot issue a certificate of occupancy for IHOP until what is required in this document to be done is done, which includes demolition of both buildings. Okay. So it will be done. I can't tell you, I don't know specifically when it will occur. My understanding is the IHOP intends to open by the summer of 2011. This will need to be done well in advance of that. I don't know the specific date, but it is clear in the document that is one of the things that is required to happen prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. We obviously have contractual obligations with IHOP to make sure that they can accomplish that by any of our own actions as well as the city agreement. So it will take place by that time. I don't know certainly when the date of that is.
And so then in dealing with the Amoco, are those corrections going to be made within that time frame also?
They've already started. We communicated with staff. We talked through the corrections, the items that Tom had referenced, and we've already begun those. Frankly, as an example, there was a light pole reference that needed to be removed, and it was removed the day it was